I grew up, guns were always around, mostly probably to scare off boyfriends, but
that's not one of the 6 reasons.
No, but
Before we start today's show, please visit the sponsors, affiliates, and friends of the Stagecoach. The Square Reviews, brutally honest product and travel reviews for red-blooded Americans by red-blooded Americans. Visit them at thesquarereviews.com. TheGunFood.com has an extensive network of partners to connect you with your guns, ammunition, and firearm training. The Gun Food only sells ammo that they trust. Use RSWC as a discount code and save 5.56% on your order at thegunfood.com. PowerTac flashlights have combined premium craftsmanship, American ingenuity, and cutting-edge technology, creating a highly dependable tool that you can trust your life with. Go to powertac.com/RSWC and save 15% on your order. That's powertac.com/RSWC. Sabre Pepper Spray has been making grown men cry since 1975. Find the link in the show description and help get the Stagecoach across America with every Sabre Red purchase you make.
Shotgun with Charlie.
Riding shotgun refers to the practice of sitting next to the driver in a moving vehicle. The term riding shotgun came around after the time of the Stagecoach, when somebody used to sit next to the driver holding a shotgun, in case they ran into bandits. My name is Charlie Cook, and I drive a lot. I like to talk to people while I'm driving, so I interview people in my car while I'm driving. Welcome to Riding Shotgun with Charlie.
All right, before we start this episode of Riding Shotgun with Charlie, I want to thank you for watching the YouTube videos. If you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please make sure you do. If you've subscribed to the YouTube channel, please make sure you hit the notification bell. If you're listening to the show in whatever podcast form it is, please leave us a good review. We always appreciate those. If you enjoy the show, if you get something on the show, if you laugh, if you chuckle, if you learn something, please share the show with your friends, because that is how we get the Stagecoach across America. All right, welcome to this episode of Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Today we are coming to you from the NRA headquarters in Fairfax, Virginia, and I have with me Liz Bush. Liz, thank you so much for being on the show.
sure.
You gotta shake my hand.
It's a pleasure. All right.
Even though we're doing audio, we get video too. You've got some super long title, and then you said, I do everything that's not political. I'm like, that I can remember.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So I'm the current Deputy Executive Director of NRA General Operations. That includes our Community Engagement Department, which has our clubs and associations, range services, and our community outreach programs, including Refuse to be a Victim and Eddie Eagle, and our Women on Target program. We also have education and training. So I know you said you...
I'm an instructor.
You're an instructor. So yeah, we support the education and training division, competitive shooting, our law enforcement activities division, the museum, the NRA range, and our shows and exhibits department. So we've got shows and exhibits at the NRA annual meeting, I'm sure you've probably been to.
Yeah.
Our outdoor show and our presence at other trade shows like SHOT Show, that all is under the NRA General Operations wheelhouse.
All right, so what don't you do?
Politics.
Politics. Yeah. And when you said everything but politics, you're not kidding.
And I have a significant appreciation for those folks at NRA that have to work on that side of the house, but I do not. So.
That's good. That's good. It's tough to be a gun guy or a gun gal, whatever, to be in the gun community, have a face, to try to have a voice, and not talk politics. It's hard. Let's face it, it's hard to not talk politics. But
yeah, so we really focus on the program. So any touch points with members that are getting them out pulling triggers. So whether they're first-time shooters or they're competitive shooters and been at it for a while, we pretty much oversee all the operations that support those programs.
Well, that's cool.
So we're where the rubber meets the road.
Excellent. Cool. Now you said I always like to find out how people got into what they're doing. And you said you grew up in South Jersey in a pro-gun house,
Yeah.
which seems like an oxymoron,
Yeah.
but it seems like South Jersey and North Jersey are
two separate states.
Yeah, exactly.
There should be two separate states.
Exactly.
But I wound up here on a whim and haven't left. I've been in the DC area for 22 years now, and don't see myself going anywhere else. So I started at NRA in 2004, and I kind of worked my way up. It's the position I'm in now, but I learned to shoot working here. So and
very cool.
It says a lot for the people and the community and camaraderie that we have as employees of NRA. I came here without really having much experience with firearms other than exposure. My dad being an active, firearm owner and going to local range and shooting. But I never really went with him. I learned from another gal who worked in the NRA Women's Programs Department. My first 6 months there, she said, let's go over to the range. So she took me out to Bull Run Shooting Center here in Fairfax, Hawaii, which is technically Centerville. And we just taught me how to shoot trap, and I had a really good time with that. I wound up joining a women's wobble trap league when I had spare time for my children, and did that for 2 years, now I kind of transitioned. When I do have time, I wind up down at the range here at the building. I'll go downstairs with coworkers occasionally and shoot, and I found my way to have a love for the Glock 19. So
nice.
I participated in a project that Mark Keefe actually was working on years ago. The first NRA's, I forget the name of it, but it was a program that basically they took 25 women and had us shoot 100 different firearms. And we all got to rate each gun by, checklist of different points. And, I wound up finding my way into this is the gun that I want to have. So I've had a carry permit for a number of years, but mostly for transportation and convenience. And, I haven't really found my way to regular carry, but I wanted to learn how to shoot more regularly, so I took a basic pistol class through some other coworkers, and wound up purchasing Glock 19, and that's my gun of choice to shoot at the range. It's fun, it's accurate,
Excellent.
Easy to manipulate, and so that's what I personally like, going to the range and shooting. But yeah.
All right, I have
off track.
not at all. So I have a Gen 2 19, and I lucked into it.
Mine's a Gen 3.
Gen 3,
Yeah.
Nice, very cool. I completely lucked into it. It was one of these things. I was doing the bad husband thing, where I went out with my first ex-wife, as I affectionately call her, and I said, "We're buying you a gun, and you're getting a Glock."
Yeah, they're actually. Most ladies probably wouldn't gravitate towards Glocks, but I really think they're easy to use.
And you don't have big hands.
No, yeah. So for me, but I actually prefer a full-size handgun.
Right.
I had a Taurus. Was it a P? I can't remember. It was a smaller carry. It was a carry gun. It was more for show than anything else. Really couldn't hit the broadside of a barn with it, and it wasn't very accurate. And I wound up selling it back to the gun store I bought it from because I didn't enjoy shooting it. It was too small, and hard to control when you're actually on the line pulling the trigger. It's not intended for being out on the range for more than 5 minutes.
Right.
So I quickly learned that smaller is not always better when it comes to carry guns.
For sure. Yeah, I remember taking my then wife to the gun store, knowing we were buying a Glock.
Yeah, this is what you're gonna get.
Right. This is what you're gonna like, sweetheart. So she ended up picking up a Walther PPK, and she's like, "This is more comfortable." I'm like, "That's out of the budget." So $700.
Yeah, well, actually, during COVID, I finally convinced my mom to go take a class. Range. They still live in South Jersey. She went to a local range there, and took a class with her sister actually. And I convinced her, "You got to get yourself a Glock 19, Mom." So she actually went and bought one. She has a Glock 19 too.
Nice.
She has a modified one because you can't have more than 7 rounds in the firearm in New Jersey. But she's got one too, and she actually really enjoyed it. She's like, "Those are really great recommendations." She went out and bought herself one too. So
nice. We don't call it modified. We call it neutered.
Yeah. Well, yeah. More or less same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the minimum capacity.
Yeah. So, but
Yeah, that's great. Somebody, there was an instructor, I can't remember his name, and if I did, I know I would butcher it, but he said that all guns should be Glock 19s and all guns should be 9mm, and all guns should be Glocks, and all Glocks should be Glock 19s.
Oh, all right, so I'm not alone in the world then.
Not at all. Not at all. I'm actually, with all the nonsense that's going on in Massachusetts, I'm trying to convince my son he needs to get a Gen 5 19.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
So,
it's a good gun.
Yeah, they take a beating. They're
You don't have to clean them as often. They still fire. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I mean, they still work. I haven't had really any problems with mine. I've had it for a few years.
Yeah. Haven't cleaned it yet? That's okay.
Yeah,
That's okay. That's okay.
Once, I think I've cleaned it once.
So we do teach people in the home firearm safety classes that you should clean the guns after you go shooting them.
Yeah, I'm not following the rules that we teach, unfortunately, but I don't.
That's all right. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. So what did you do before you got the job with the NRA?
I worked for Ann Taylor. I was actually in retail for a couple of years, but right out of college. And then
Ann Taylor's like that big swanky, the store at the mall, right?
Yeah. So I got my degree in marketing and thought I was going to go into that, and wound up at NRA instead. A year and a half later, and decided I just did not want to work retail. The hours were terrible. The people were not always kind.
The hours were terrible, and the people were worse.
Yeah. So I wanted an office job, and my dad said, "Hey, NRA's in Fairfax. Why don't you apply for a job there?" And rest is history.
And here you are.
So I started off working for Eddie Eagle. I was their grants coordinator. And
you didn't have to dress up in the costume, did you?
One time.
One time?
Helping somebody else practice for an assembly, I got in the costume. I'm too short for it. You have to be a minimum of 5'4" or 5'5". I'm 5'3", so I'll use that excuse a lot.
Come on.
I don't meet the minimum height requirement for the costume. Nor do I want to. So,
right.
But, and now that I oversee the department now.
Now you see why it's important to be 5'4".
Yeah. But it's Eddie Eagle's probably one of our greatest, most successful programs. Reaches millions of kids a year, and it's firearms accident prevention.
Yeah,
but it's important before they're old enough to really be responsible enough with a firearm, knowing what to do if they come across a gun and there's not an adult around. So
right,
it's a very important program.
I do remember. When I became a gun guy after I had kids, and obviously that was an issue. It was I really did things in baby steps. So at first it was let's get a gun license, and then my then wife was she's like, all right, let's get a gun, but no ammunition. I'm like, okay,
it's a doorstop at that point.
I'm with you. It's a paperweight.
Yeah.
But I was like, what about Bob? Like, baby steps to gun ownership. Yeah. Baby steps to gun ownership. Yeah. Let's get a gun license. It's one step closer. Let's buy a gun. We're one step closer. And she was pregnant with our daughter when I took a basic pistol class. And I remember shooting a Smith & Wesson Model 617 10-round 22 caliber handgun. And I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. Like, do other people know about this?
It's just fun. Yeah,
right?
Yeah, it's just fun.
I tell everyone that I told myself I could quit drinking and do this, but I mean, not for forever, just for a little while. Anyway, she ended up taking the class a year later, found out she was, she could shoot well. She enjoyed it. And then she was like, okay, let's buy some ammunition and keep that in the house.
So is she out shooting you? My husband will no longer go to the trap range with me because I out shoot him every time. So
nice.
He'll still go to the NRA range, but he won't go shotgun shooting with me.
That's awesome.
It hurts his pride too much.
It hurts all of our pride.
Yeah.
I told myself at the beginning of the summer that I was going to go out on Sundays and hit the trap range. There's one of the local places that's near me, for I don't know, $5.50 you can shoot.
A bargain.
Right.
Yeah.
It is. So I did this a few times, and the last time I went, I hit like, I don't know, 9 or 11 birds in a row. And I'm like, this is it, Charlie. This is it. This is going to be your perfect game. This is going to be awesome. You need to remember this. This is like, you got to write the date down. You got to remember all this crap. And then I missed a bird. I'm like, all right, so much for that.
Don't jinx it.
Right. I missed 4 in a row. And I'm like, all right, this sucks.
Yeah, no, I have fun no matter what. If you hit it or not, I'm just, getting out pulling triggers. That's, to me, that's just fun. It's good old fashioned fun. And
absolutely.
I'm not one for keeping score, just more for having fun. But
that's great. That's great. So what kind of a trap gun do you have?
I have a Weatherby that I've had for a while. It's over under 20 gauge, and that's,
Nice.
It works. I do clean that more regularly if I get out
Sure.
of range. Yeah,
That was a little bit more expensive,
that's
right?
easier to clean.
Sure.
And more expensive. Yeah, so it would take better care of that one. But
Yeah.
it's been a while since I got out to the trap range, just because it's a whole other kids and distractions. And
Oh,
weekends.
yeah.
And at least I can get to the one downstairs pretty easy because it's in our
Right.
basically
During
in our
work
basement.
hours.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Yeah, I could take a 30-minute lunch break and go down there and pull some triggers.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I like to. I'm good friends with this gentleman. His name's John Petrolino, and we like to go out and do sporting clays. And when we're out doing sporting clays, we complain about the guys that are FUDs while we're doing FUD activity, right?
Sporting clays is fun. I mean, it's basically like a round of golf, but for shooters. And I enjoy it. It's been a while since I've gotten out to do that because that's a little more pricey. But
Yeah.
We did a project. When we were revamping the marksmanship qualification program.
Mhm.
It's a basically at-home study type of challenge.
It's
on
the blue
honor
book you
system.
give out?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
It writes the honor system,
so
exactly.
It's based on the honor system, but we went out when we were revamping that book a few years back and went with a couple of coworkers. We went and shot the sporting clays course. It was a good time.
It is fun. Let's talk about the qualification book. I hand that out to people when I teach classes because it comes in my box of stuff. And I always tell people, I'm like, if you want to gauge your progress, all of the things that you're going to do are in there, from air guns to small bore rifles to high powered rifles, handguns, shotguns, rifles, BB guns, airsoft guns. It's in there, and it gives you something to go with and something to work towards and
Gives you
gauge your progress. Yeah.
Something to go to the range and really have something in mind if you don't want to just go and
Right.
put the target up and see what happens. It gives you a little more structure to your day at the range.
Yep.
And it gives you something to aim for. And it gives you a goal.
Mhm.
It's a self-study program, but it's good. It has its purpose.
Yep.
And a lot of kids wind up using it because it's easy for beginners. But we have a lot of programs in the NRA, but besides the stuff within education and training, we've got our NRA DATE program. We have our YHEC program. Are you familiar with the YHEC program?
No.
It's a Youth Hunter Education Challenge. It's been around since '86. And it was started as a next step from hunter education, just to kind of get kids out there. But it teaches the fundamentals of hunting, usually over the course of 8 events. It can be anywhere from 1 day to a week-long course, and it's usually taught on a range somewhere. But it's a really good, solid core program that we offer, and we're looking at building that back up again. We have about 40 to 50 events a year, reaching 4,000 kids through that.
Wow.
We also have the NRA Day program. It's kind of something for everyone. It's kind of a mixed bag. That one was created 15 years ago,
Mhm.
and it was essentially created as an open house for to give content for clubs to be able to introduce them to NRA.
Yeah.
So in exchange for clubs registering their NRA Day with us, they get free hats and shirts and certificates, and pins, and all the
swag.
all the swag that everybody likes. But it can be whatever the club wants to make it. So that's the beauty of it. Most of them wind up using it for a youth shooting sports event.
Mhm.
So just to get kids to come out and shoot. But it's intended to be an introduction to the NRA and an introduction to shooting.
Yeah.
So that's another really great program we have. We also have our competitions. The museum. Have you been to the museum? I'm assuming you have. You still haven't gotten inside?
Briefly.
You picked me up right outside of the museum, haven't you?
Okay, hold on a second here. Hold on. So I came down last year. And I interviewed Phil.
Okay,
And
yeah,
so-
I did actually see that interview.
Very
it
cool.
was a
Thank
good
you.
one, yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, he's a great
That was
guy.
great on camera.
This is one of those bucket list things. Like there's a number of people that I
Meet
have.
Phil Schreier.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, how do I get these people on my show? I got to tell you, Mark was another one. Mark Keefe.
Yeah.
It was one of these things where I was like, all right, I'm coming down to interview Doug. Who else can I get?
Mm-hmm.
And Mark ended up on an email from Doug's secretary, and I'm like, I'm going to email him now that I have his email address, right? I'm going to email him.
Yeah.
And he said he wasn't able to do it, and then he emailed a couple days before and said he could do it. So I'm like, oh, this is great. This is awesome. But yeah, so I did interview Phil last year. I did go through a little bit of the museum quickly because I was out with John Petrolino.
You don't get out of your car very much.
I don't. Right? I hate kids' parliament. You know, I hate kids' parliament. So I went down. John Petrolino got to see the exhibits, the museum, while I was out filming the show with Phil, and then of course we went and saw the Hollywood guns.
You got to see that.
Right. Yeah. I have one of my buddies. He likes to tell me that the best cowboy movie is Tombstone, and I'm like, I think it's Unforgiven. And then I get down there and there's a couple of Unforgiven guns. I'm like, there you go, man. Look at this. They got these in the museum.
My favorite part of the museum is the Coney Island exhibit with all the dropping the targets that are over there and the ducks and all the things that go bang and make noise.
This is why I need to go back.
Yeah. You walk by it and it kind of surprises you because it turns on. So you walk up to the exhibit, all the things start moving, all the mechanical targets.
Oh, that's
and stuff.
cool.
So definitely go back in there. There's a lot to see.
All right.
I'm sure Phil will probably give you a private tour if you ask for one.
That would be cool.
Yeah, but I can see why he's on your bucket list because when I've been in NRA 20 years, and there's over the years I didn't really get to know Phil until the last year or two, but I remember sitting at home, my parents came to visit, and we got the History Channel on, and my dad's watching something. I'm like, oh, I know him! He works in my building! It was
right.
Phil on the History Channel on a random show we were watching. And so he has a celebrity status that others of us that are working in the building just kind of hide in our offices. But everybody knows Phil. Everyone knows Mark.
Right.
There's a few others. Jim Spika, when they did Gun Gurus. Watch that show, but definitely watch it if you haven't caught it. It's a good show that's out there.
That's cool. I dig it, man. I dig it. What else can we talk about? Let's talk about the outreach stuff. The largest growing demographic of gun owners are women and minorities, and I've been to some events where people are wondering how do we reach more people, and how do we do this?
Well, I think NRA does offer that. I mean, we have something for everybody. General Operations, the programs that we offer, doesn't matter. We have something for everyone.
Okay.
For our Women on Target program, there's about a little over 100 events now a year, and that one's close to I think 4,000 to 5,000 ladies are coming through it. We actually hired a new gal who's going to be starting in mid-October, so I'm excited for her to get started and try to grow that program again.
Mm-hmm.
But Women on Target is essentially an introduction to shooting. We call them clinics because a lot of times they're just ladies who are coming in with no familiarity whatsoever with firearms, just kind of getting them familiar, getting them comfortable, and that's basically what that program serves that role.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of introducing them to rifle, pistol, shotgun. Some instructors actually pull archery, muzzleloader into that too.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's a great program for introduction for ladies. And then we've got youth programs that we're kind of trying to revamp that whole department right now. We have an ambassador program.
Youth stuff. So I remember I got on when my kids were young. I remember going to the library and finding an Eddie Eagle video, and it had like one of the guys from 90210.
Yeah, Jason Priestley. Yeah.
With a flip phone and pull the extension.
We've updated the video since then. It's gone through 2 updates since we had Jason Priestley. But I don't know how they got that. They got him to agree to different times, I guess.
That's for sure.
But yeah, I remember when I started, we had VHS tapes in the offices, and I'm like, we really had Jason Priestley? Like, this is awesome. And it's like the giant cell phone, when you had like a backpack to support your cell phone. It's like, hey, Eddie, let me give you a call. I mean, it's if anybody was watching this, go look up YouTube. You go on YouTube and look up Eddie Eagle, Jason Priestley. It's a wild ride.
Yeah. I also thought it was interesting too when I started. I became an instructor in 2007, and didn't really know what to do. So I was trying to do the whole break-even thing. How much is it going to cost me to become an instructor versus how much can I make and all that kind of crap. I ended up teaching at a shooting school for a few years and then decided to break out on my own and do classes on my own. The home firearm safety book used to have this. It was the one with the blue cover. and there was an Asian woman in a red doily shirt wiping down a revolver.
And a little dated. Yeah, just slightly.
There was a picture of her husband sitting in a chair in front of the Mona Lisa, and it really looked like she just shot him in the head.
Wow.
Right?
Okay, yeah. Note to self, we need to go find that book and scrub it.
It has been updated a couple times since then. So
maybe once or
the
twice.
good news. Yeah.
Also, the other thing I should probably talk about is the flip side of our program offerings. We do a lot for shooting range owners, and we have a range services department that actually services range owners. We provide education for folks who are looking to build or improve shooting ranges on both club level shooting ranges, commercial ranges, indoor, outdoor, and we do a lot of work with with state agencies for public ranges. So NRA offers a lot of grant programs and support for folks who want to host these types of things. All of our programs actually have some sort, if you're with a nonprofit organization, you can get free materials to host 90% of the things that we do. So for any nonprofit shooting clubs, definitely contact us, because we have so much material and so many things. If you're stumped for things to put on your calendar for the year, call us. We'll find some. We'll help you fill that calendar space.
We'll fill it up.
And we'll get you materials too. You get free swag, and everybody. It's a win-win for everybody.
Nice.
But yeah, range services, we have conferences, we have online conferences, we have in-person conferences, and we basically teach the fundamentals of developing and improving shooting ranges. So it's the other side of things that people don't think about. You go to the range, and you put your, you go to your lane and put in your distances, and the target goes out. How that all works and how that all is put together, most shooters don't think about.
Right.
But NRA actually helps people in navigating how they update their facilities and making sure that everyone's safe, and keep the upkeep that's involved with lead management and all of that. So we provide resources for shooting range owners, which is an important thing. It's just as important as everything else. You don't have a place to shoot. What good is your firearm? So that's one of the other great things that we offer that a lot of people are one of our best kept secrets.
Yeah. Let's make it unkept.
Yeah. But I've been working with the Range Services Department after I was with Eddie Eagle initially for 10 months, and then I moved into Friends of NRA. So are you familiar with the Friends of NRA program?
On my way down here, I stopped at the Friends of the NRA dinner that was in North Jersey.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to plug out there to John Acapinti and his son JJ. They had 500 people at this event.
Wow.
500.
What city was this in?
This was, don't ask me what city, North Jersey.
Yeah, I'm asking because I know North Jersey. I went to college up there in Bergen County. You know what county you were in?
I have no idea.
How far are you from New York City? Do you know?
Not too far.
Okay, it's probably around that area.
When we get to a stoplight, I'll see if I can pull up the address.
Yeah, but Friends of NRA, what I was getting at is, I worked for Friends of NRA. I was the event services manager, so I helped with all the catalogs and things that support that program. I did graphic design for that. I also helped run their fundraisers at the annual meeting. So we had the NRA Foundation banquet, which they still have. And then at that time, we had a ladies' luncheon and a sportsman's luncheon, where we kind of split everybody up and had two separate fundraisers. The ladies' side, we had a fashion show and other, different things. And then the guys, we had standard auction and a lunch. So I was responsible for putting all that together. But after that point, then I moved into clubs and ranges. So that was probably 17 years ago that I was the national manager for clubs and associations and range services. So I feel very strongly about the things that we do for ranges and supporting ranges and the importance of that. But on the Friends of NRA side, I'm glad to hear that you went to a banquet, because it's a unique experience for anybody who hasn't been to a banquet, and it kind of helps put everything together. Friends of NRA actually raises the money that we can then give out in grants to clubs to host these programs.
Yeah. So
that's where the connect is with the banquet program that's out there. It's a fundraising program, but the beautiful thing about Friends of NRA is the money goes back to 50% of the money goes back to NRA headquarters to help us support those programs and put materials out there. The other 50% stays in the state that it's raised in, and then it's given out in grants to local shooting clubs for the purposes of promotion of programs and recruiting, new members, and hosting youth programs, women's programs, introduction classes for new shooters. I know they probably went over some of this stuff when you were at the banquet. Usually the field reps would get up and give a spiel about why they're there raising money. But it's a great program, and it's all across the country. There's 1,000 events a year, so anybody listening could find, go to friendsofNRA.org, and it's not my program, but it's a great program, and it helps fund everything that we do in general operations. So it's definitely get out and support that. It's always a fun time. There's silent auctions, live auctions, good dinner usually.
The bucket auctions. I actually won something at the bucket auction.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Hey, I never win anything, but it's fun to play.
Yeah, I was on a hot streak. I became good friends with Amanda Suffolk back in 2016, and I told her that I was interested in doing something, right? Like I want to get into this.
Involved,
yeah. And so she was doing a concealed carry fashion show in Cleveland, so she invited me to come co-MC this with her. Then that night was also a Friends of the NRA dinner, and then I went and did her radio show with her and her brother Rob.
Oh,
so
wow.
It was like a full day. Yeah, it was a full day of all the things that are great. And I went to the Friends of the NRA dinner. I'm feeling like really cool, so I put $100 in on tickets, and dropped them in the buckets and whatever and whatnot. And we were doing the radio show, and somebody called us up when we were doing radio, and they're like, "Hey, we just want to let you know you won a gun." I'm like, "Oh my God, please let it be the Kimber revolver," right? Because this was new. And I ended up winning a, oh my gosh, a Kel-Tec PMR 30. Which is a 30-round 22 mag semi-auto handgun, and it's not on the approved roster in Massachusetts, right? So Rob and Amanda ended up buying the gun from me, and they bought it for whatever they could find the market value for, $425 or something. I went back to Massachusetts. I got on this website called northeastshooters.com, and somebody was selling one for $1,000.
Oh wow! You're like, I got ripped off,
man. So yeah, and I didn't know anything about frame transfers at the time. So I found out that I could transfer the frame to the state, and I could have brought the slide and the barrel and the magazine home. Yeah, so I was bummed. And then after that, I won a 1022 at the Heller 10 event in DC.
You're a seasoned winner.
I know.
Yeah. So you are a fan of Friends of NRA. Yeah.
And the next year I went to a CCDL event in Connecticut, and I won a Red Ryder. And Holly Sullivan looked at me. She's like, "Can you even have this in Massachusetts?"
Hope so.
With a background check, yes. Yeah. So, yeah, it was cool. It's fun. It's these things are family reunions, and you get to hang out with people that are all like-minded, and everyone's got something in common. It's easy to strike up a conversation and have some sort of an icebreaker with people.
You're in a safe room to talk about politics or whatever you like, what you like to shoot, or anything under the sun. But they're great programs. I actually was, when I first started NRA, we had a local committee here that I was on in Fairfax. And planning those events actually gave me some good experience in being able to then move over and work for Friends of NRA. So that's what sparked my interest, moving from Eddie to the Fairfax, working for the Friends of NRA program, so that I went volunteering to help plan the committee that we had here locally. But it's a great program, and it's come full circle, because now all the programs I work with are funded and mostly by foundation money that's raised for Friends of NRA.
Nice.
So I always like to make sure people are aware. Your money's going to a good cause, and it's going back to your state. So that's the most important thing.
Right.
Those fundraisers, and just money doesn't just vaporize. NRA is great about making sure those funds go directly back to the people who are helping to raise it.
That's very cool. That is very cool. I know there's there was one in Massachusetts recently, but I was out of state when it happened, and I know there's going to be one up in New Hampshire. And I'm like, why don't I buck up? Right? It's a guy that drives around for a hobby and gets strangers in his car.
You don't have time to drive other places. Yeah, that's all you're doing.
Right. It's always interesting to me when people are like, it's an hour and a half drive. Yeah. So
You're like, okay, well, I can squeeze in an interview
Right.
or two in that.
Exactly.
Yeah, like, who can I pick up along the
who
way?
can I have on? You have no idea. You have no idea. My daughter wanted to visit a college in Nashville. So when she was still in high school,
Get in the back seat. We're gonna get some interviews in. Let's
Yeah,
try.
totally. It's yeah, absolutely. I'm like, we're gonna go visit a college, and I ended up interviewing Hancock 45.
Oh, wow! I'll have to look. I
Yeah.
did see his video when I was looking at your YouTube page. I didn't get a chance to watch it, but so is your daughter in the back seat of that video?
No,
You kicked her out of the car.
I left her at the Waffle House.
I'll be back in 30 minutes.
Right.
Enjoy your breakfast.
All right. No, don't get shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went down in February, and unfortunately it snowed in Nashville while we were down there.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
surprising. Yeah.
So
Well, I
my-
guess it's February, but still.
Right. And of course, when you get an inch of snow in Tennessee, they're like, we don't know how to drive
they
in
shut
this.
down
Dude,
state. Yeah, like
the girl at the hotel was like, I'm here for 3 days. I'm like, why?
3 days for half an inch of snow or something.
Something crazy. Crazy. I asked Hickok, I'm like, so what are you guys doing when it snows? He's like, oh, we wait for it to melt. It'll be gone the next day.
Yeah.
It's no big deal.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, in 2020, my mother passed away in 2020. So when I went out for the funeral, I interviewed somebody. When I went out to clean her house out, I interviewed somebody. When I went out to
Make good use of your
bury
time on
her
the road.
ashes, yeah. When I went out to bury her ashes, I interviewed somebody. I'm like, how do I write all this off on my taxes? Right? All good stuff. All good stuff.
So you get good gas mileage on this car?
So one trip, my son and I went out to Illinois for something, and I did end up interviewing someone south of Chicago. We were coming back on Interstate 90 through Indiana, Ohio, and a little strip of Pennsylvania and upstate New York. And we stopped and got gas in upstate New York. I was getting 32 miles to the gallon.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah. Do you have V8 on this? Or
No, it's just a V6.
Yeah, but still,
I know.
that's probably why you're getting better gas mileage too.
It was.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I got on. I put the gas in the car. I did the whole, miles till empty,
Yeah.
and it was like 500 miles till empty.
Wow.
Yeah, I went
Pretty
out.
impressive.
I went out to an event in Detroit, and Detroit's only 2 tanks away.
Oh, okay.
So-
You got it down to 2 tanks.
Right. Anyway, who cares about me?
Yeah.
Let's talk about other stuff you guys are doing at the NRA. I got to say that I'm a little, I don't want to say I'm surprised, but it's nice to hear that you can have a career and do different things, and they can have you can move through different programs and do different things with the skills that you have.
Yeah, so I in 20 years I've worked mostly with our clubs and range services departments. I've worked with our education and training team. I've worked with mostly with our community outreach type programs like NRA Day at Eagle and Refuse to Be a Victim.
Mm-hmm.
And those are core programs that people don't really think about. They're kind of on the fringe, but they're just as important as all the other offerings we have. But I've just kind of, tried to take the approach. We're one big team, and we all, I've over the years learned what everyone else is doing and taking classes here and there, just to kind of get familiar with what what NRA offers to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And just it's amazing. There's a lot of people that work in the office that still don't know all the things that we offer. So, but we really do have something for everybody. There's no matter what your interest is.
It's I've said this before. What's nice about the NRA is, politically speaking, is they take the arrows from the anti-gun folks, while other groups are out there, winning lawsuits and court cases and things and getting things to the Supreme Court. And it's not that the NRA doesn't do these, but when the anti-gun folks want to villainize somebody, they're always, it's the NRA. The politicians come out, I'm standing up against the NRA and blah, blah, blah. And even though they use NRA, they really mean they're just standing up against gun folks.
Well, and they don't even really realize what we do.
All this stuff. Oh my gosh, totally.
All the different things that we do that help save lives every single day.
Yeah.
And that's what I don't think they don't want that story to be told.
Right.
So it doesn't benefit them for people to see us as their ally and helping to protect their Second Amendment rights, whether or not they could choose to participate in our activities or not.
Yeah.
We're here for every American to make sure that their rights are protected. So that's not my my job at the NRA, but it's my passion as a conservative woman, to make sure that it is definitely more than a job. And that's what makes working for NRA different from anything else, is that we have a mission, we have a passion, and that cause drives all of us. It's definitely more than just a job for anybody who's working for the organization.
Yeah.
And it knows that at the end of the day, you've made a difference. There's a lot of careers you can be in that you really can't go home and say that. So
for
I
sure.
feel blessed that I'm able to have the opportunity to serve our members and to serve our country.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's kind of staying with the theme there. When somebody wants to get into gun ownership, they want to buy a gun, or they find out they have to they found out in 2020 you can't just go to the store and buy a gun because this is what they've heard for forever. Mm-hmm. You find out you've got to take a class. People end up going to search the NRA to see what kind of classes they offer and what kind of things that they do. They don't go looking for the FPC class, or they might not know about the USCCA or some of these other groups and organizations. So the NRA is going to be
love us or hate us, we're around. Yeah, they know where to find us. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, we're the most loved and hated organization in the United States, but
totally.
But everybody knows who we are. So
exactly.
and I think a lot of people, like you said, the mainstream media loves to villainize us, but once they take a look at everything that we are and what we stand for, a lot of times we turn those people around into gun owners, and they understand.
Right. Even if they go from anti-gun to a gun agnostic,
to neutral.
Right, to neutral. That's what I was looking for. It is. You
don't have to be a gun owner to respect gun ownership.
Right. You just shouldn't stop somebody else from doing what they want to do.
Yeah, and everybody benefits from someone they know carrying a firearm.
Yeah.
Most people want to own a firearm just because they want to protect their family and protect themselves, and that's what our country is set up to protect that right.
Absolutely. I dig it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else really to cover. NRA supports our law enforcement. I didn't really cover a lot about our law enforcement activities, but we have competitions, and we've got our School Shield program. So I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's basically a program that NRA came out with in response to some of the school shootings that are out there to help schools in identifying risks that they have and helping them through grant funding to make security improvements to their schools. NRA actually offers that program through our law enforcement division. So we train police officers on how to provide assessments to schools and give them the information that they need to make improvements, and then our grant program actually helps funding those improvements that are suggested to them. Cool.
It's a lot going on. You're a busy woman.
Yeah, and I'm sure I have missed something in this hour-long conversation, but it's if you don't know NRA, come check us out. We got something for you.
Yeah. Good deal.
So the main place to find all of this information, if you visit NRA.org, you'll be overwhelmed with the amount of information that's on the main page. But really look for explore.nra.org. That's the main landing page for all of our programs.
Okay.
So and then it's kind of broken down by areas of interest.
Yeah.
So that landing page is probably the best one to go to if you're not really sure what you want to learn more about, and kind of want to get a good overview of what NRA offers. On the program side, the Explore page is probably the best bet.
All right, cool. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah.
The pleasure was mine.
It's been great riding around with you.
I know. Just, again, driving around with strangers. Thank you for being on the show. We'll put some links to all of the NRA stuff below.
Great.
Because there's a ton of it. Right, and all the social medias and stuff. So I want to thank you for being on the show. If you are not a member of the NRA, you do need to join. You just go to NRA.org. You can find a ton of programs, as Liz mentioned. If you're not a member of the Second Amendment Foundation, go to SAF.org. There's going to be a link below. You can find all of your favorite pro-freedom podcasts at the Self-Defense Radio Network. And if you've made it this far in the show, you need to share it with your friends, because this is how we get the Stagecoach across America. Thank you guys so much for watching the show. We'll see you soon.